Okay, welcome to another episode of Suburban Tactical. My name's Randy. This is Andy,
Hello.
and today we got Eddie Spanknoble with us, aka Spanky. He's a connoisseur of all things cigar, bourbon, Pontiac. What am I missing?
Military aviation.
Military aviation.
That's
And that's one thing that I want to talk about is um, you're you're a veteran, right?
Army reserves.
Army Reserves.
Yeah.
And you have a keen interest in helicopters and especially pilot flight helmets.
Yeah.
And I know you collect flight helmets, and you just came back from some shows.
Yeah,
And-
went to the biggest show. I think it's the biggest show in the world in Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. It's called the Show of Shows. And it's huge.
What kind of building is it in?
It's in a great big exhibition hall.
Okay.
I think it's I looked this up. The building itself, I think, is 1.2 million square feet.
Oh, wow.
But the I think this exhibition hall is 600,000
And you go to that one every year, don't you?
every year, every February.
Yeah. I see all your pictures that you post, and some of the stuff is amazing. What'd you find this year?
I bought 5 more flight helmets. I bought a bunch of old photographs.
Old photographs.
Yeah, fighter pilots, airplanes. You know, they about give those away there. Bought a whole stack of framed photos for $25.
Oh,
wow.
wow. So when you go to those, what do you search for? Is it mostly older planes, newer planes, famous planes?
Well, I collect flight helmets and oxygen masks from beginning of World War II up to the present day. So I have the hard shell helmets. I've got the leather helmets like they had in World War II.
Oh, wow.
One of my specific interests is Royal Air Force, British Air Force, in World War II, especially the Battle of Britain.
Oh, wow.
So what got you into wanting to research helmets and find all that out?
Well, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
And so when I turned 17, I joined the Army Reserves when I was still in high school. But I've had asthma all my life, and that put a dent in my plans to be a military pilot. So that didn't work out. But I've always been interested in airplanes and aviation. And
So how many helmets do you have now?
55.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And that's all the way up to present?
Yeah, from the earliest one I have is from 1938. The latest one I have is the JHMCS, which is the helmet that you see pilots using now.
Yep.
It's got the $200,000 optical system in it.
Yep.
In the visor cover. So I have a complete helmet less the optical system because that's illegal to own.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, and I certainly don't have the money for that either.
So is that your favorite one?
No, I just got a good deal on it. I'll never find another one for sale.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what my favorite is. Well, my favorite may be the one that I brought with me.
Oh, let's see it.
Yeah. Crack that open. And didn't you sell a whole bunch of them once and
I
pay off
did.
your house or something?
Well, no, I didn't pay off my house. I
Oh.
paid off all my debt,
Okay.
except my house. But yeah, I've built up and sold off my collection 4 times now. This is the 5th time I've built up my collection. And I've only been collecting again since October of 21.
Wow.
And I went to that show of shows in February of 22, and I bought a bunch of stuff, and I was hooked again.
So is the hunt as much as the fun part for you as
That's the fun part.
Yeah.
And the thing about this show, this show has everything from Revolutionary War up to present day. And I would say half the show is probably World War II focused.
You're right.
And a lot of that is Nazi memorabilia, which don't have anything to do with.
Mm-hmm.
It's phenomenally expensive and easily faked. But
Oh, really?
You'll see incredible things, stuff you'll never see anyplace else. So 2 of the things, well, I bought 2 ejection seats out of fighter aircraft.
Oh, wow.
So I've got those in my house. And I know for a fact they fit in the back cab of my crew cab pickup. So stuff like that,
Yep.
right? Which you'll never see for sale anywhere else. mean, you find them on the internet, on eBay, but they, shipping's a fortune for
Correct.
something that
Correct.
big.
So you must drive to the show so you can
Drive to the show.
bring
Yeah,
all
it's
that.
8 hours from here to Louisville.
Yeah.
And I made a bunch of friends over the years, and
Yeah, I bet.
we always have a really good time. Go out to dinner and give each other a lot of shit.
Yeah.
It's fun. Anyway, this helmet I have here is an actual Top Gun helmet,
Wow.
and this belonged to. He's still in the military. Captain Thomas Bodine, call sign Jethro.
Wow.
Beverly Hillbillies. So he was a Top Gun instructor
Oh,
from, I think, for 2.5 or 3 years. He was an instructor at Top Gun. So if you've seen the movie, the first movie, the instructor flies the adversary aircraft. They're painted up like Russian aircraft.
Right.
They have Russian red stars on their wings.
yeah.
And some of them even speak Russian. And so they fly against the American aircraft using Soviet tactics, right? And that's how our pilots learn how to fight. But like in the movie Top Gun, Jester was the guy.
Yeah.
He was one of the instructors.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
they went down below the hard deck
Yep.
and they got Jester.
Yep.
So Jester was an instructor just like this guy.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is his helmet and oxygen mask.
Wow.
You can see
Oh,
on the
that's
back of it, it's got the red,
Yeah.
the Soviet star like they paint on their wings.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's got his call sign, Jethro Bodine.
And you found that at one of the shows?
No, this one I got from a friend who got it from the pilot.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
I got
that's
it.
where you got this.
I downloaded that off of the internet.
Okay.
So he's pretty high up in the Navy now. He's a
I
I
bet.
think he's a Navy captain. But it's got a lot of wear to it. But that's how I kind of like him. Got his oxygen mask. And this helmet was custom fitted. You can see
I was
this,
going to say it looks very
this
custom.
custom liner. It's got his dark visor here. This is very lightweight. If you want to grab that.
Is it like carbon fiber? Or?
Well, the newer ones are carbon fiber. That's a fiberglass shell. But they're a lot lighter than the helmets that they used to use.
So what year would that have been used up to?
I think he was an instructor. It says in that deal. I
Yeah.
can't remember the years, but like 2003, 2004.
Okay.
It says in here when he did that.
That's extremely cool. That's the first time I've had my hands on one. I've seen them at your place.
Do you have them all displayed at your house?
Yeah, most of them, yeah.
So is that your favorite one because of the story behind it?
Yeah, just to have anything from Top Gun.
So is the white, is that like Kevlar wrapped, or is that a tape that he put over it, or?
No, so all Navy and Marine Corps helmets, these guys fly over water. They're trained to fly over water. So their helmets have to be covered with a white reflective tape.
Oh, that makes sense.
So the parachute riggers who prepare their gear, take care of their gear, they tape their helmets. And in years past, some of them had some really exotic, wild designs.
Right.
Sometimes the squadron marks all their helmets the same way. So a squadron marked helmet is the most valuable,
Okay.
right? And those most desirable. But this one, just because it's got the red star and his call sign on the back, that's kind of the money shot right there.
Yeah.
So ballpark, what is a helmet like that worth?
I think I could probably get 2,500 out of this because of the provenance.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's got a good history with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That is cool.
So I've got a pilot that was used by an A-10 pilot in Desert Storm, and he was one of the two A-10 pilots that got an air-to-air kill.
Oh, wow.
Right, he shot down a Soviet-made Mil-8 helicopter with the gun in the nose of his A10.
Wow.
And I've got the helmet he was wearing that day.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
So I have no idea what that would be worth because I've got all the provenance. I've got a picture of him handing it to me.
Wow.
Right.
How'd you get that connection?
Well, there's a Facebook page, a Flight Gear Facebook page, and he got on there and he was wanting to sell some of his gear. And I started buying his gear, and we got to be friends, and he just started selling me this stuff. And I went down to Oklahoma City. I've got the whole section of leading edge off of his A10
Oh, wow.
that was hit by Iraqi flak. It's all full of holes.
Yep.
You know, and that stuff's too big to ship. So I drove down to Oklahoma City and bought all that stuff from him. I have a control stick out of an A10.
Wow.
He sent me a bunch of patches, his flight suits.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So that's probably my most valuable, most important, and it belongs in the U.S. Air Force Museum.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
Someday that's where it'll be.
Go.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, I saw it looked like you had gotten or were looking at a flight log too.
Yeah, sometimes I get groups. Like with this last show, I bought a group for Marine Corps helicopter crewmen, and I love the Marine Corps stuff because they have these camouflage covers custom made to go over their helmets. They have to have the white tape too in case they go down in the water,
Right.
just like the rest of the fast movers. But they have these camouflage covers made for these, and they're just Velcroed on. So if they go in the water, they can pull them off of there. But the thing about that is that Marines have those covers made out of the same material they use for the covers on the ground troops helmets,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And there's a like a kinship when you're pinned down as a Marine and you're on the ground and you see a Marine aircraft come in at low level and you look up and see their helmet and he's got the same cover on his helmet as you have on yours.
That's pretty cool.
That's why they do that.
That is very cool. Yeah.
So I bought a Marine Corps CH-46 crewman's helmet, and I got a bunch of stuff, log books, and I got his like the flight manuals, and it was just a whole plastic tote full of stuff.
Wow.
So I got that for $640, I think. But
that's pretty cool. That's a lot of history in a box to be able to go look through. And
oh yeah, patches. You know, he's got his name on there, so you could research him.
Yep.
But it's I save my money all year to go to this show. I mean, I buy helmets other places too. I have a friend who's an Olathe police officer who collects this stuff too.
Oh.
He finds some incredible stuff online and at auctions. And so we get together once every month or two. And he came out to the show, met me out at the show last February.
Cool.
So I get stuff through him, but I save my money all year.
Because you know the good stuff's going to be at the show.
And I don't care how much something costs. If I want it, I just buy it.
Yeah.
I just pay the price.
Yeah.
That's the only time during the year I do that. The rest of the time it's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
What'd you take?
But it sounds like it's a pretty good deal there too, and that there's some extraordinary stuff that you don't find anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean it's, I post pictures of it. This year I really didn't post a ton of pictures other than the stuff that I bought. But like one guy had one year. Do you guys know what an ME-262 is? Mm-hmm. It's the German-made jet from World War II. He had an instrument panel out of an ME-262.
Wow.
And I don't even know what he wanted for it. It had been $10,000, but it's just something, that piece of history.
Yeah.
So that must have been something that was shot down and they went and recovered?
Yeah, somebody pulled out of an airplane. After the war, they brought those airplanes, a lot of them back to the U.S., and they took them all apart to figure out how they worked. And I'm sure some of those guys took those parts home when they were done. So the stuff is out there.
Yeah, I didn't know that those were ever, any of them were ever shot down, if they were ever in combat, they never get to that point, did they, with those?
Yeah, they were actually in combat, and they would have been in combat earlier, except for Hitler wanted them used as a terror weapon because they didn't have propellers and they were noisy. And Adolf Galland, who was the general of the Luftwaffe, he insisted they be used as interceptors
Right.
because the American and British bombers were devastating Germany at that time. And he wanted the ME-262 to be used because it was 100 miles an hour faster than the P-51 Mustang.
Right.
And so they were once Hitler allowed them to be used as interceptors, they were devastating the bomber streams. But the P-51s figured out, like Chuck Yeager shot one down.
Wow.
And they on takeoff, the engines responded so slowly that it took a while to get speed up. So when they were on takeoff and landing, that's when they were vulnerable, and the Mustangs would attack them, and the P-47s would attack them on takeoff and landing.
Wow!
Because once they were up and moving, they were pretty hell to deal with, weren't they?
Yeah. I mean, you could outturn anything. It could outrun anything. The thing is that the Jumo 008 engines didn't have much of a life. You know, they only maybe 20 hours.
Oh, wow.
You know, really? They'd have to be rebuilt. The metals technology wasn't where it is today.
Right, yeah.
You know, those engines just didn't last very long.
So very high dollar plane to keep in the air.
Yeah. Especially with the factories were being bombed on a daily basis. They'd moved everything underground.
Yep.
Wow, that's interesting.
So that's one of the things I saw that I could not afford.
You didn't save that much money?
I don't know how much it was, but I didn't even ask.
Yeah. Well, it didn't sound like you collect the German Nazi stuff anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I do like. I don't have any German. I have a post World War II Luftwaffe flight suit. I have all the gear, the parachute harness. The
wow!
Suit. It's all bright orange. So they flew F-104 starfighters after World War II, which we gave them because they killed so many pilots here. A lot of German pilots died. But I have the helmet and the mask and everything. But that's post World War. That's West German era,
right?
70s.
Yep.
That's the only thing German I have.
Okay.
But I do like. I have some autographs from German fighter pilots. You know, like Adolf Galland. He hated Hitler.
Yeah,
he was fighting for the survival of his country.
Yeah.
Right.
And it seemed like a lot of them. I mean, you either had extremes. It seemed like some were all Hitler, and some of them were just trying to keep their family and their country alive.
Yeah. I mean, the SS, that was another thing, you know, but the regular Wehrmacht soldier, you know, they knew when they'd been beaten.
Yeah.
They weren't fanatics.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So tell me about what you've been looking at lately for guns.
Well, we were just talking about this Gerson EAA long slide, 10 millimeter in flat dark earth. That's something I'd like to have. I do like long slide pistols. We were talking about earlier. I had a Remington R1 10 millimeter long slide, and then I had a Para, which Remington bought Para, and a lot of the Remington I had Para marked parts on it, like the sight, the rear sight group. It still said Para on it. So I had a Para 10 millimeter long slide Hunter that was black and flat dark earth, and I also had a Para Super Hog single stack 1911.
And that one's a really rare one.
Yeah, with the 6-inch barrel, and I like AMT pistols. Like I've got an AMT Automag 2, Automag 3, and Automag 5.
Oh wow!
Which the 2 is 22 Magnum. The Automag 3 shoots a 30 carbine round out of a long slide pistol. And the Automag 5 shoots the 50 AE cartridge like the Desert Eagle. In fact, the 50 AE cartridge was developed for the Automag 5 before the Desert Eagle came out.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
So what's the advantage to the long slide?
I just think they look cool.
Okay. Well, I'm the dumb guy here when it comes to guns, so I was just curious if there was an advantage.
Yeah, I like the long slide. And I had an AMT hardballer long slide, which is what Terminator carried in that first movie. He had the big laser sight on it. And so most of the because the regular 1911 is 5-inch barrel, and the long slides are 6-inch, but that AMT had a 7-inch barrel.
Oh, wow.
It was the longest long slide.
Did they make it special for the movie, or what?
No, that was just something that
it was a production gun.
Yeah, AMT. I think the guy's name who designed these was named Harry Sanford, and he liked experimenting with all kinds of odd calibers.
Yep.
You know, he was one of the first to successfully manufacture stainless steel automatic pistols. he was doing this in the late 70s, early 80s. My dad was always kind of into that.
Well,
That Automag 3 that shoots that carbine round, it has almost no recoil.
that's what I've heard. I've
And-
never shot one.
And the slide cycles so slowly. I mean, you can
It's like
almost
chunk.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it just chunks.
Yeah.
Just like almost you're cocking it, but it shoots a 2-foot fireball out of the front of the pistol. And you're at the range, indoor range. People they'll stop what they're doing and come down to see what you're shooting because you light the whole range up.
Yep. No, that's pretty cool that it's chambered in that though. That's something that's definitely different.
Yeah, the Automatic 5 I have, the 50 cal, it's got a ported barrel, which
Does it help
you
much?
You just didn't see that back then.
Right.
So I like that kind of exotic stuff. Desert Eagles, I've had 6 of them.
Wow.
2 357s, 2 44s, and 2 50s.
You have the gold one?
I don't have a gold one. I only will buy Israeli made.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never fired one of the newer ones made in the US.
Right.
I like the Israeli made stuff.
Yeah. I think they're a safer go-to as far as quality from what I've seen.
Yeah.
I've took some in on trades and moved some around, and usually the U.S. ones are where problems sometimes
Right.
have been in there. And I don't think I think a lot of it is the parts where they're coming from, how they're being made. 'Cause it seems like they're more of a hybrid of everybody's parts on those, where the Israeli are all made. I don't know. It just seems kind of weird that way.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, that's of course my dad couldn't afford anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
All my life I wanted a Desert Eagle, and I finally got a chance to buy a 50, which I still have, the very first one I bought. And then I branched out into the 357s and the 44s. And then I guess they made one, a friend of mine has one chambered in 440 core bond.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Yeah, they're very, very rare. But they're almost like kind of AMT, they experimented with some weird stuff. And I just like the Israeli made, the early, late 80s and early 90s.
So what's the favorite gun you have right now? What's your most favorite?
I tell you, man, that's like asking somebody their favorite child is.
Well, I've got my dad's 1911.
Do you?
It's a 1969 production commercial model Colt, 1911.
Very awesome.
And it's all worn out. The slide's loose. And, he gave it to me years ago. And I cherish that because it was his.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a clunker, I mean, I could probably have the bluing is worn off on it.
Yeah, but that's part of it. That's pretty neat. So it's one that's really loose. I mean, most of those are like they're doesn't take anything to rack them. They're so loose fitting now.
Yeah, this one you can
Twist it
move
around.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then I've got I got some stuff. When I sold my last helmet collection, I built that Mark 18, which you've seen.
Yep.
I built that Mark 12 Mod 1. I've got a Browning M19 A4 30 caliber machine gun.
You still have that?
Yeah, but it's semi-auto, converted to semi-auto.
Yep.
But I've never had a belt gun before.
Do you have links and belts and?
Yeah, well, I got a whole belt. I got boxes of belt and
Wow.
ammunition. So, and then I bought a Ohio Ordnance BAR 1919 A4
Yep.
or 1918 A4 in the fitted case with the 30 round magazine.
Oh wow.
20 round magazines. And I always wanted a BAR, when I was a kid. I
They're very
watched that
cool.
show Combat,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Remember that with Vic Morrow?
Yeah.
I think Kirby was the guy who had carried the BAR, and I always thought that was the coolest guy.
Yeah, they're very neat. Very neat. There's a guy in Missouri that for SOTs he converts a lot of them to full auto, and I've shot a couple of his. They're pretty neat.
Yeah, that's something you need to get here.
They're just so expensive.
Yeah. So this one I have, again, it's got the case and everything, and I paid $4,100. I drove down to Howard, Kansas, to a gun shop.
You picked it up.
Picked it up for $4,100 cash, and that same gun now is worth twice that.
Oh, at least, yeah.
Is that the one I saw like 5 or 6 years ago?
I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Okay.
And then I've got a Barrett M82A1,
Mhm.
the flat dark earth Cerakoted.
You like the FD?
I do like flat
Yeah.
river.
Everything you've had me give you a price on is all. Yeah.
Yeah. I never thought I'd have a Barrett, but when I refinanced my house the last time, I was just trying to get a lower interest rate.
Yep.
And the guy says, "Well, is there anything you'd like to do? Would you like a new car? You want to go on vacation?" I go, "There is one thing I'd like to have." So I borrowed money against my house to buy
To
that
buy the
Barrett.
Barrett. Where'd you end up getting it from?
Got it from Ratworks USA,
Okay. Yeah.
which is like Barrett's biggest civilian
Right.
dealer.
Yep.
And it came with the loopholed LRT glass on it,
Okay.
and the Pelican case, and 2 magazines, I think. And I paid $79.56 shipped.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
yeah.
same gun now is $10,000,
Yeah.
$11,000.
Easily. So do you like shooting it though?
Yeah, I like shooting it, but I can't shoot it anywhere.
Yeah.
That range in Hillsdale, they won't let you shoot anything there because it's so disturbing to the other shooters.
Yeah. And I don't even think, I think Ottawa you can do it, but you got to be at the 1,000+ yard.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd have to check. I don't know. I've never really checked into it, but I knew somebody was. They shoot a lot of the 416 Barretts there
Right.
for the long range stuff. So I mean, that's flying faster than the 50, isn't it?
I don't know what the muzzle velocity difference is, but if I was going to get one, I want the 50.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I got boxes full of AP, and
Did you get it one that was recent or decently priced versus now?
yeah, every now and then one of those online places will have like belted
Yep.
ammunition, for like 100 rounds for $350.
Oh, it's
And I'll just buy a can of it.
Yep.
Pull them out of the links.
Yep. Very cool.
So
Yeah,
that's I don't know if I have a favorite, but
yeah, it'd be hard to choose from that group, I would think.
my carry pistols, I carry Glocks
Do you?
exclusively, and I love my Glock.
And what is your?
I have a 23 and 40 caliber.
Oh, you're still on the 40, huh?
Oh yeah, I absolutely love that pistol. I shoot the shit out of that gun.
40 is a dying caliber.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's still a great caliber. The problem is they've put so much work in a 9mm. It's getting very close on ballistics, and if
right.
you want more, then you go with a 10mm. But
Yeah,
no, I mean, all the police trade-ins and stuff that I buy to resell are always 40 because they're the cheapest. But
yeah. If you come across some of those cheap, I'd be interested. I'd like to have a couple more for my.
well, I got
Yes.
those are both police trade-in 22s and 40 caliber.
Okay.
You know, they probably had a couple hundred rounds through them, and they got a lot of holster wear, and then I just refinish them. So
I've got a couple tactical vests that are stuffed with AR mags,
Mhm.
and I want to put Glocks in there with Glock magazines just in case something happens.
Yeah.
I can just grab those 2 harnesses and go.
go, yep. No, it depends on they grade them. I think those 2 I can sell those for like $325 or something.
Yeah.
And that there's a couple places online that carry a lot of them. The problem is by the time I get them here and pay for shipping, and they kind of go up. So I usually get everything through Davidson's because then I know it's got a little better quality. Like those come with all the original back straps. They come with the hard case. When you drop down grades, and they just come in a white cardboard box. So
Yeah.
you can get them a little cheaper, but then they have a little more abuse. My biggest thing is I don't want the hand engraving badge numbers or serial numbers on them because that's what a lot of police departments do, and that's a lot harder for me to get out of there versus
Right.
just cleaning those up. But yeah,
And I've got a little Glock 42 and 380 that fits in my pocket.
yep.
I carry with me a lot of places.
So do you have any suppressors?
I do. I've got a Allen Engineering can
Mhm.
that was designed to fit the Mark 12.
Right.
And I've got a Yankee Hill Machine stainless can that I've got on my 308. It's my M110
Right.
SASS clone. It's not really a clone, but I can't afford all that shit, all the Knights Armament stuff.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how much some of that stuff can be.
And then I've got a Surefire 5.56 RC2, I think,
yeah.
on the Mark 18 that I brought over here.
Okay. Yeah.
To have you engrave.
Yep. Yep.
So those are the three that I have.
Which one's your favorite out of those?
I love that Mark 12.
Yeah.
It's just so stable and such a great firearm.
Yeah. No, they're very nice. Very nice pieces. Well, cool.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about your cars and what you're doing right now. I mean, are you working on any of them? Are they all running?
They all run.
They all and you. I saw you bought another Datsun pickup.
Bought another Datsun.
You just couldn't get over that.
I love them.
They're great. I worked for Nissan or Datsun years and years ago when the 720 came out.
Right.
And the other ones were just all started. I mean, the 520s had almost all rusted away.
Yeah.
And so I love that one that you've got because they were great.
Came from Portland, Oregon, so it has very little rust.
Yeah, it looks good. And people come over all the time and they're like, "Man, did you see that pickup over?" Yeah, I see it. It's our friend every day. I see it all the time. It makes me jealous. They're fun to drive.
You remember the last one I built, the one that I lowered?
Yeah.
And I put the fender flares on it.
Yeah.
And that was a part of my purge when I sold everything. When the COVID hit, I didn't know if my company was going to make it. And of course, we're thriving. We're doing better now than we ever have done. But back then, I was,
Right.
I had a lot of debt, a lot of credit card debt, and so I sold the brown Trans Am. I sold that Datsun I'd built. I sold that red Pontiac wagon. I sold my black Silverado. Sold both my Ducatis, and then we didn't go out of business. So
the guy that bought that Datsun truck, he didn't have it. What, 6 months? And he sold it again?
Yeah, he wound up selling it again, and it wound up down in Springfield area.
Oh, wow.
Did it?
I found it on one of my Datsun Facebook pages, and he offered to sell it back to me, but he'd done a Bubani disc brake conversion on it, and I didn't really want it back.
Yeah.
Then I came across this one. It was in Springfield too, and it belonged to the guy's uncle, and it had almost no rust, and it smokes. It needs I think it just needs valve seals.
Yeah.
I just need time to. Bought another engine for it. I'm going to build a new engine for it.
Okay.
But it runs great. I mean, as great as a Datsun could run. But it's a manual transmission, and it's got the rarest thing on a Datsun 620. It's got a factory tack in the dash.
Oh,
Wow.
really?
Which they never had. So
And which motor does it have?
it's a 2-liter
Okay.
L20B,
Yep.
the 4-speed. You can get a 5-speed in 78, 79, I think. That makes it a lot more drivable on the highway. But I just drive it in town.
Right.
So I had a Datsun 620 when I was a kid, and I loved it. It would go through anything, the snowy, icy day. I ran it into the ground. So
Yeah.
I've always loved them. Back then I wanted to put Hooker Headers had a small block Chevy conversion kit, and I wanted to
Oh, that'd be
put
cool.
a small block in it. And when I had my last truck, I actually found that old Hooker Headers kit, the motor mounts
Right.
and the headers and the fiberglass plate for the floor, but I sold it before I could do all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. And are you going to do any racing this year? Because you're big into bracket racing, right?
Yeah. So since Heartland Park closed, we ran the point series out there, and I had enough points every year to be in the top 10 and run on the Heartland team in the Division 5.
Oh, wow.
But I'd always go out first, second round. I mean, these are the best drag
Yeah.
races in
Yeah.
the country. I was racing the brown Trans Am, which I bought back. You guys
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know if you knew. I bought it back a year and a half, 2 years ago, from my friend Tyler down in Carthage, Missouri. But I don't have a trailer, so I have to drive my car,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so Heartland wasn't that bad. A bunch of us would go. Then they closed Heartland, and they built this new track in Odessa, right behind I-70 Speedway.
Yep.
And it's weird the way it's set up, the staging lanes, and it's a nice track, but that's 80 miles.
It's a haul to get out there.
on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with 373 gears, and
Not worth it.
I went out there the very first the 2 first days they were open. Made one of the first runs down the track.
Oh, that's cool.
I entered the point series, but nobody wanted to go racing with me, so I didn't make any of the races last year.
Oh.
So what was the car running?
The car runs 1380s.
Okay.
It's not fast. It's got a
Consistent.
stock 400 in it with a little bitty cam and a quadrajet,
Mm-hmm.
but it's ultra reliable.
Yep.
Super consistent.
Yeah, super consistent.
Yeah. That's how you score in the points.
Yeah, being the slowest guy. I'll be the slowest guy any day. Let them catch me.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Consistency is more important than speed when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just make it every week and finish every week. That goes a long way.
Yeah.
The only time when I race stock cars, the only time I ever placed anywhere at the end of the year was the year that I made every race, every weekend. Didn't have any races that we missed because of blown motors or anything, but we just finished every race, and
Yeah.
it pays off. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
She would have liked to have won some though.
Yeah,
They spent a lot of money. Some of those guys spent a lot of money on that stuff.
I know. I've been to the semifinals several times. I've been to the final round a couple times, but I've never gone all the way. Not bracket racing.
Right.
I used to, back when I used to race the 66 at KCIR, I won some races in that. But that was the 1980s. But, yeah, it's,
So you get a 66 GTO, you've got a 69 GTO,
yeah,
got
81 Trans Am.
81 Trans Am, and then the pickup, the
Datsun, yeah.
Datsun. And where you at motorcycles right now?
I still have that little Honda or Suzuki that I bought, that GS450T.
Oh yeah.
I bought from the next door neighbor.
Uh-huh.
But my friend Colonel Razgorshak, who's a retired Marine pilot, he's almost like my brother. His family is my family, basically. I've already worked out a deal with him, and he's going to get that motorcycle because he had one in Okinawa.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
So he's going to bring me his helmet
There you go.
that
That's
he
a
wore
good
in the
trade.
V22. So
Wow, that's awesome.
That's a good trade.
yeah, so I bought it for my girlfriend to ride, and she burned her leg on it, and
And
that
she
was
rode
it.
Rode it 3 feet.
Yeah.
I can't figure out the clutch. So
Let's see. Yeah, I bought my wife Suzuki Boulevard to ride, and got her to ride it a few times, but she just wasn't comfortable with it. So I sold it.
yeah, they're all about it till it comes to actually riding.
Right.
She just would soon ride with me on the back. So
Yeah.
and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this girl, she tried to ride on the Ducatis with me, but
no,
Not
so-
happening.
uncomfortable for a big fat guy like me to begin with. It's like my dad always used to say, I look like a gorilla at the circus with a roller skate stuck up my ass.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. You ever been in a bike accident or concern?
I've never been down.
Good. Good.
Figure probably should just sell them while
While you're still up.
I'm still up. I'm getting too old to
No.
ride a sport bike. And people every year they get crazier.
Yeah. for
Nobody
sure.
pays attention. Everybody's on their phone.
Yeah.
They pull out in front of you. I used to ride one of my Ducatis to work almost every day
Really?
Yeah.
when the weather was decent. And it got to the point where somebody would try to kill me at least once a week. Just
Wow.
riding, I'm only 4 miles away. And just riding here in town.
Just
I won't ride mine in town here anymore. I took it down south and I just ride it
Down there.
Down there
Yeah.
in the Ozarks.
That's
Just
a
ride
good
it.
idea.
Yeah, there's tons of bikes down there. People are used to them, and because there's people who go through all the time, ride down and into Arkansas and stuff, and so people are more used to them, and so I'm a little bit more comfortable down there than I am
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah,
it's a lot more prettier country down there too than it is riding around
It's
here.
a lot more the prettier country to ride in.
Yep.
Eureka Springs.
Yeah,
I know a lot of bikers go down there
yeah,
and ride. I was in Cocoa Beach week before last, and Daytona Bike Week was Even though Coco's an hour away, there were still tons of motorcycles in town.
Yep.
Because the hotels fill up for miles and miles.
Yeah.
It looked like they were all having a pretty good time down there.
Yeah, they
Right.
usually do.
Riding down the A1A. And
What's the furthest you've taken for a bike ride?
the furthest I've ever gone, the furthest I could do on a sport bike was about 100 miles. And then my ass hurt so bad.
Right.
I couldn't do anything more than that.
But you're not looking to ever get one of the bigger bikes, more comfortable?
No.
You just like the sport bikes?
Yeah, I'm not a Harley guy. Well,
Yeah.
all my friends have them. And we used to ride together. I went on, my friend Reese Good, he builds custom bikes, and he got shot in
Oh,
the
wow.
head. And so he used to have a ride to raise money for traumatic brain injury. And we used to always go on that ride every year. We'd just go from
Right.
bar to bar to bar, which is kind of ironic that you're raising money for traumatic brain injury by riding motorcycles and drinking and
Right.
not wearing helmets. So we might need some of this money.
Yeah.
But I had the only sport bike on the in the ride. Everybody else was on a Harley.
Yeah.
Everybody I know is super cool, and I mean, like, we're all V twins under the skin.
Right. Right.
So
I'm wearing my V-twin shirt tonight.
Your
A
Harley.
Harley shirt I got from in Alaska when I was up there. I've never owned a Harley, but I have a V-twin Honda.
yeah,
But I like them.
that looks like a knucklehead there.
Probably is. I found a machine shop that does a lot of motorcycles and jet skis, and which is what I was using them for. And he was kind of a test when I walked in. He goes, "You know what this is?" And I go, "Well, that's a knucklehead." And he goes, "All right, you're great."
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're cleared.
Yeah. But
Well-
yeah, I worked in a motorcycle shop when I was 14, putting them together out of the crates. My best friend's uncle owned a huge dealership. We sold Harleys, Hondas, Kawasaki's, Ducatis, Can-Ams, not Ducatis, Can-Ams, BMWs, and I got to put them together out of the crates, and usually get to take one to lunch if I got it far enough before we went to lunch. And I was only 14 years old, but I had a KE 175 that I rode to work every day,
Yeah.
and
Where was this?
it was in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Okay.
Bluff Cycle was the
Okay.
name of it, and Galen Brotherson owned it, and my friends Scott and Mike, that was their uncle, and so they got me a job there, and so I went out and bought a set of metric wrenches and a little toolbox, put them in, and I would just put them together out of on the weekends, just put one or two together out of the crates, and did a lot of mopeds, but I also did a lot of Hondas and Kawasaki's. The older guys wanted all Harleys because they were easy. They were almost all together. All I had to do is pull the crate apart and flip the handlebars over and put the lights on, and it was ready to go.
Clean up the oil leaks.
They didn't leak in. Yeah, they had a season or two before they'd start leaking. That was back when AMF made them.
Yeah, this was late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
I think Willie G took over in what, 83, 84? They came out with the blockhead and they took, he bought, him and Willie G Davidson bought the company back from AMF.
Oh, did he?
And a bunch of investors, 82, 83, somewhere around there.
By that time, I was firmly entrenched in the Japanese bike scene.
Yeah.
That's all I rode. And up until just a few years ago, when Amber was wanting to ride a bike, I had that Goldwing that I rode, which was just a pig, and I got it for next to nothing and got it running. Well, Butch got it running for me.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, and so I was riding that around, and Amber wanted to learn how to ride. So went up to Kearney, Missouri, and bought this Boulevard, the Suzuki Boulevard, and I rode it all the way home. And by the time I got halfway through Kansas City, I was like, I love this V-twin. I love this. This beats the heck out of this Goldwing. And so then I started looking for another bike, and I found that Honda Shadow, the 1100 that I have now. And bought that, and then bought a Kawasaki. What's the Kawasaki V twin? Yeah, bought it for Levi. So we had 3 V twins, and then Amber didn't really want to ride, so I sold her bike, and then Levi still got his, but I still have mine. I took it down south and ride it 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
But it's nice. A lot nicer than riding up here.
Yeah, that would be. If I had I never really rode in town other than to work. I just head towards Hillsdale.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I go out to my friend Kenneth's down there where he's got a lift, and we work on cars down there. Then I take like 68 to Ottawa, and then come up back roads through Wellsville and stop at all the little bars on the way.
Just out scenic, having a good time.
Yeah, so that was about 100 miles, 100-mile ride.
Awesome.
We ride out on these rides for Reese, and then my friend Brandy, her brother, passed away, and we did a big ride for him. You know, we went out to Scipio Supper Club and a bunch of places out there, out in the country. You know, taking back roads. That was a nice ride, except it rained on us half the day. I don't like
That's
being,
not a lot of fun.
being wet, and my ass hurts.
So back to guns real quick. Where do you shoot at around here? Do you belong to any of these clubs around, or?
I belong to Centerfire.
Okay, so indoor.
Yeah, but I haven't been there in a long time.
Okay.
Some friends and we went to Bullet Hole a couple months ago, but they have so many restrictions.
Right.
You know,
Were they even selling guns there yet again?
No, they didn't get their license.
They still haven't got it back.
Yeah, I know the ATF really screwed them over on that.
Yeah.
You know, some places got hit and some didn't. I don't know how it really works, but
I shot a few times at the Bullet Hole. It's so old for one. It's so loud.
and it's a crank thing that
Right. And it's so cold in there because that's all their only ventilation's really just piping in the outside air into it. But
I like Centerfire, but I used to go all the time. But I've got so much going on now. I don't.
So you don't get out and do much of the long range stuff then?
No, I'd like to take the Mark 12 out.
Yeah.
You know, and get it dialed in at 100 yards.
Well, anytime you want to go out, we can go to Ottawa or to Tri-County. Both those got really good 100-yard ranges.
Yeah.
And get it.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. Get those dialed in. I'd like to find somewhere where I can dial in the Barrett because it's not even really close.
Yeah.
My boss has some property. He's got an old strip pit in Appleton City, Missouri, and we go out there and shoot it out there. But you just set up some shit to shoot at.
I'll be out at Ottawa, Great Plains this weekend. If I remember, I'll ask them out there about the 50s.
Okay.
And see what they have to say.
Yeah, I'd like to at least get it dialed in.
It'll be fun. Well, we are rolling up on about 50 minutes, so we're probably going to cut it. And I did not get your hat made, so you get to pick one of those blank hats over there, and I'll get you a hat or a patch put on like Randy's, or I guess the one I'm wearing.
The official podcast.
Yeah, so anytime you come on the podcast, you'll get a patch or a hat. So
okay.
But we sure appreciate you coming in, especially in the beginning, dealing with us getting it set up. And we're still trying to get her figured out.
This is a lot of fun.
So you are welcome anytime. We just come and hang out and talk and throw it up on YouTube and see who else wants to add comments about it.
Well, I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
Yep,
Thank you.